Do you think any of the detectives you've played could have solved the Zodiac case?
Mike Resendiz, probably. I mean, he's not a detective, although it's a very fine line between a journalist and a detective. But if anyone could do it, it would be him. Hey, it's Mark Ruffalo, and today we're gonna talk about every single one of my movies. Sorry.
Mickey 17. How was acting with those teeth?
Weird. Bong wanted me to eat something and to be doing my scene while I'm eating.
Actually inseminated baby embryos.
You really are the perfect candidate for Niflheim's natural child birthing program, aren't you, dear?
But the teeth, you can't really eat with those teeth. The teeth are like floating around in my mouth while I was trying to do the scene. And I kept trying to like get them back into place or figure out how do I look like I'm chewing this food without chewing it. And he kept saying his note was, you have to be eating. I need to see you really eating. They're crazy, those teeth. They're the whole character, you know. I've done so much heavy stuff and I've always tried to like do one or the other. My favorite acting style is one foot on a banana peel and the other in the grave. That there's always some sense of humor in it. Even with Task, I was trying to find places where we can make even that story funny, but I just haven't gotten to do a lot of it. And it's something that I came up in the theater. You were never relegated to one or the other. We were always jumping between comedy, and just haven't had a chance. And people are more and more are starting to give me that chance, and I'm savoring it. It's just really fun and freeing.
13 going on 30.
Yeah.
Do you still remember the Thriller dance?
Only small parts of it. I was cast in West Side Story when I first tried to be an actor in high school. I had to learn some of the dances for that. This was a lot harder. I had to rehearse with Jen Gardner. She learned it in about a half an hour, and it took me like 6 hours to learn it.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. How did the pants-off, dance-off scene happen?
That movie was crazy because we were constantly improvising. The cameras were rolling literally. The minute you walked on set, there was 2 or 3 cameras rolling constantly. So whether we were rehearsing or we were shooting a scene, Michelle was capturing that, and there was a lot of improvisation. And I know at one point we were in our underwear. I can't remember if he instigated it or it just sort of naturally happened, but at some point, I think he did want us to be up on his bed dancing over him. It was just a very funny bit. You don't have to do it, but Michelle and Charlie together was a really nice combination. I felt like he really was able to land that third act, which I think could sometimes be a problem for some of those stories. I don't know how they ended up in the end. I don't know if they were friendly with each other. It was a very intense post-production. But for us, it was just fun. We had this incredible script and we were able to riff within it. And we had a great director who was leading us through and an amazing cast. It was a lot of fun.
The Avengers. What was it like seeing yourself as the Hulk for the first time?
Weird. I didn't see it till the premiere, and my daughter, who was probably, 5, was, down the row from me. And I was watching, me explode into the Hulk, and she just looked down at me and she burst into tears, screaming, and she ran up and jumped in my arms. She's like, why do you want to hurt the nice lady, Papa? Don't be the Green Man. Don't be the Green Man. I mean, listen, I grew up watching that show when Bill Bixby would turn into Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk. When his shirt would rip, I was just like, that is the coolest thing in the world when I was a kid. So seeing it happen there and me be that character, it was surreal. It was one of those moments where you're just like, I can't really believe that this is happening. It was a big moment. We wrestled a lot. Joss's rehearsal with me was that he and I would just wrestle and throw each other around on mats, It was fun and it was freeing and it was goofy.
Avengers, Age of Ultron. Do you ever wish you had a solo Hulk movie?
Yeah, I'd love to have a solo Hulk movie. I mean, I don't know if you know the whole story of that, but it's not really owned by Marvel. It's a Universal property. I don't know if it'll ever really come to be, honestly. We keep talking about it, what it would be. You know, there's been so many Hulk movies already. It's like, does anyone really even want another one? But I'd love one, and I do think the audiences would be into it if we could crack the nut of it.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
How was the energy on set with Taika Waititi different from the other Marvel movies you've done?
That was almost completely improvised. You know, Taika would show up in a kimono and he'd have a little tea service over there and like Moroccan rugs and pillows and a pit that we would hang out in, and he would be playing The Clash or Parliament Funkadelic or just that full blast. It was just madness, just the most exquisite form of madness.
Why are you being so weird?
I don't know. Maybe the fact that I was trapped for 2 years inside of a monster made me a little weird.
It's okay.
And Chris and I are just a really, you know, I think we are a nice duo and play really well off of each other and know each other, love each other, and trust each other. It was just a really fun experience. Like, of all the Marvel movies, that was probably the loosest and the goofiest, and in a lot of ways the most fun, because it was just a lot, just he and I, you know.
Avengers Infinity War. How was it getting beat up by Thanos?
It sucked. I'm in my little, you know, suit, and we go to what they call a volume, which is a space that has cameras all over it. You learn all the choreography, you learn to fight, and then you go in there. And I wasn't doing it with Josh. I was doing it with a stuntman. I had to get beat, and he's never beaten before. So, but that's how you do it. I'm in my little leotard. That guy's in his little leotard, and we're, you know, throwing each other around in a black box.
Avengers Endgame. After over 12 years of playing the Hulk, what's your biggest takeaway?
I'm really grateful that I've had that to do and to keep coming back to. People are programmed for gods and monsters, you know, this mythology, you know, and I feel like we've been kind of doing this modern mythology for 12 years now. It sort of always is touching on what's happening culturally, mirroring it and sort of informing it, and that it stays relevant somehow. It's just been nice to be part of it. It's just been a huge sort of blessing to me in my life. And the people that I keep getting to work with are just the best as well. So like a lovely family, which you just doesn't happen in the film world. You know, we come together, we move apart, we come together, we move apart. And we just keep coming back together. And we've always stayed together.
Zodiac. Did you discuss on set who you thought the killer might be, and what was your hunch?
That was a constant conversation between David Fincher and the cast. Arthur Lee Allen was kind of the person that we all would always keep coming back to, just because we were working from his transcripts. The scenes with him were direct lifts from the transcripts of the police interrogations, and he was just such a weird character. Fit so many of the MO of the Zodiac killer. The movie plays so heavily on it. I think that's the one that we all were like kept going back to.
Collateral. How would you describe Michael Mann's process?
It's so intense. I don't think he ever sleeps. That was probably the hardest movie I've ever done. We were shooting nights, and Michael's a very hard man to please. And there's a lot of mano a mano, you know, that testosterone. That's what's driving that whole thing. And so it's just a very intense place to be. He's an intense director. Great director.
Foxcatcher.
Yeah.
We've heard that Steve Carell was in character the whole time.
Yeah.
How did that make working with him?
Well, I don't have a lot of scenes with him. I just remember we were suffering immensely while we were shooting that movie. It was really hard. It was really cold. We were in Pittsburgh. It was just dark and miserable, and the spaces we were shooting in weren't heated. It was the dead of winter. And it was just such heavy material. And I remember I saw him at the hotel one day, and I was like, hey. And he was like, hey. He was in that character. And I was like, how's it going? He's like, it's going fine. I was like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't fucking know. And none of us really knew how it was going. But he never broke. Not even in that moment when he did break. He didn't break. It's such an incredible performance. I don't think people realize just quite how incredible that performance is. Channing too. I mean, they were just incredible.
How did that experience differ from your experience working with Steve on Date Night?
Date Night was my attempt at doing comedy, to break out into comedy. I'll never forget when I walked in there. He's like, man, why are you doing this? I can't believe you're doing this. He's like, I'm honored to meet you, and I'm so glad you're doing this, but I don't know why you're doing this little part, you know? And yeah, it was very much different than Foxcatcher, that's for sure.
Spotlight. What's the hardest part about playing a real living person who you're spending time with?
Just to be as honest and fair as possible with them. I think, you know, most of the people that I've played are pretty decent people. So to capture something that's true to who they are, I feel is your biggest responsibility. Get to know them as much as you can to do that, and have them trust you if they're alive.
Okay, we'll move to a non-decent person that you've played with Poor Things.
Right.
How did Yorgos help you get into this character?
Yorgos doesn't like to talk too much about the script or characters or anything like that. We did a lot of games, theater games. We would puppet each other, play out a scene, and have to move their arms and their head, crazy dances, or have to sing. Mostly just things to kind of make the troupe, who was all the actors, feel comfortable and free with each other physically.
Let us go. Ow.
Task. If my math is right, this will be the 5th detective that you've played. Yeah. Why do you think you're drawn to these roles?
You know, it's funny, with actors, people think that we have a lot of control over what we end up doing, but it's usually just who comes to you. For whatever reason, people keep coming to me for detective roles. I take them and I like them, and they're interesting to me, because I guess it's trying to figure out what the puzzle is. Working in this kind of gray area, law is sort of becomes a little bit relative, and right and wrong becomes relative.
Begin again. What were you and Keira Knightley actually listening to during that headphone splitter scene?
We were listening to the song that it's cut to, For Once in My Life, and we were doing it all over the city in many different days. That was magical, shooting that movie in New York City. We don't shoot very much here anymore. And I haven't shot in New York City since then, except for this Lena Dunham movie I've just finished. But just to be in the subways, on the streets, they don't lock down New York City. They're not allowed to close a road or anything like that. So there's just people everywhere, and they're watching it, and they're part of it, and it's just so alive. Falling in love in New York City is so special, and I really do feel like that montage and that particular song and those people at that moment in their lives really makes it something that's very special in a movie.
The Brothers Bloom. One of my favorite movies, if I may say.
It's so good.
Everyone I've talked to loves this movie, but I know when it came out, it didn't do as well as people hoped.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by the original reception?
I was so shocked by it, because I just thought it was so great. The writing, you know, Ryan's style, that cast, the world it created. I was so disappointed. I don't know, I thought the world would see it the way I saw it. It was just really a really great, fun movie. I was surprised. I was kind of heartbroken, actually.
Seems that people are watching
Finding
it now.
I didn't know that. I'm so happy to hear that you love that movie.
I think it's a sleeper hit. I think people are coming to it now.
That's great. In the Cut, too, sort of did that.
Yeah,
it's
actually.
having a re-emergence, and that wasn't received well in the beginning.
Yeah, we can talk about that now. That was
Okay.
my question for In the Cut. People didn't really get it at first.
Yeah.
What do you think changed?
The world caught up with the movie. Sadly and unfairly, people didn't want to accept Meg Ryan, you know, America's sweetheart, as that character. You know, a woman who's sexually free, living outside of the sort of norms. It's really an ode to feminism, that movie, wrapped in a genre, you know. I just think it was ahead of its time, honestly. Just so ahead of its time. And I do think that there was a lot of misogyny in the way that the media treated Meg. It was horrible. It was unfair. I mean, that's as good as anything she'd ever done. But it's challenging, that movie, to a lot of like traditional ideas about relationships and marriage especially. But you know, that's before Me Too. It was just a different culture. You know, it was wanting to be birthed. It was in the ethos, but it was just the culture wasn't ready to hear it yet. And sometimes a movie is called from the culture and it lands exactly at the moment that we're ready to have that discussion, like The Kids Are All Right or something like that, where we're in the middle of this sort of cultural discussion, and then a film comes and it sort of gives voice to an idea or a movement that is trying to find its voice, to trying to articulate itself clearly.
Well, let's talk about The Kids Are All Right. You've said before that you thought this would be your last acting role.
Yeah.
Why this role?
My brother just died before The Kids Are All Right. And I had directed a movie, Sympathy For Delicious, and I really loved doing that. Directing was just a very satisfying creative process, just because of all of the different artists I was getting to work with. And then my brother died, so I was already like, maybe I want to move more into directing. My brother died, and I was like, yeah, that's it, life's short, man. I'm gonna do this last film as a homage to him, because the character in The Kids Are All Right was really my brother. And I'm gonna be free. I don't give a shit. At that point in my career, I was just feeling really bogged down. I really got involved with like what I should do for my career, what I should do for the business, what I should do for my brand, like all of these sort of false identities and concepts that don't have anything to do with being an artist, really. I was really free in that film in a way that I hadn't been since I first started, like maybe You Can Count on Me, probably. And I was gonna be it, and then I was gonna transition into directing. And I had both those movies play at Sundance. They were both magical, you know, they were both really received well and by the audiences. But what I did see was like, oh, this is the experience that I make movies for. And that is the experience that I want to have making a movie, where I feel free and I'm not doing this because it's the commercially right thing to do, but just because I love this character and the character means something to me. And then all of a sudden, a lot more jobs started to come, acting jobs that I liked. I've just been on that road since then, really.
Shutter Island. Did you ever say no to Marty's direction? And if so, how do you say no to Martin Scorsese?
You never say no to Marty's direction, ever. Marty doesn't give a lot of direction, though, so you don't have to say no. And the direction he gives is like the spot on. I don't know how you'd say no. I know how you'd say no. You just have a discussion with him, and then he would say, okay, that sounds good, and I'll go do it like I told you to do it.
Now You See Me.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction when you learned the big twist?
I was like, okay, I want to do this. That's great. That's a great twist. And no one is going to see that coming. And then, and like the acting of getting to play that twist the whole time.
I don't have time for this magic crap.
This crap just pulled €3 million out of a Parisian bank.
That's how much they got.
Actually, 3.2.
You know, having that character know what's going on and that duplicity, duality, that's fun and exciting in characters. I keep finding myself in those kinds of places with different characters.
Now you see me too. How was it being the only horseman in the movie who doesn't do any magic tricks?
It's really sucky. Everyone learned how to do all the magic in that, especially Now You See Me 1. And so when we would go out, it would just be people doing magic and Woody reading people's minds. I mean, I was still part of it all, but I didn't get to learn how to do anything cool.
They didn't teach you?
Well, I didn't fit in.
Dark Waters. How does the creative process change when you're producing a Todd Haynes movie as well as acting in it?
That I got as a property and developed it. So I haven't really done a lot of that. So developing the script and getting Todd to do it and then working with him on the script. It's just a much more involved, satisfying process to go from beginning to end. It was something I really cared about. And it had tied in my activism work, which I'd been doing so much activism on water at that point. So that movie was this moment where I was like, okay, I want to take this other thing that I'm very passionate about, the environment, and then make a movie about that. And hopefully that'll speak to the world in a way that just being an activist can't. And it did.
You Can Count on Me. Would you say this was your big break?
Yeah, for sure. I had another big break, which was a play that I did here in New York, This Is Our Youth, which was written by Kenneth Lonergan. That's kind of where I feel like the business discovered me, but where Kenny and I discovered each other. And that led to You Can Count on Me, which was, yeah, that changed everything for me as an actor. But then I got sick after that. I had a brain tumor, and all of these big offers that were coming, I had to turn down. And that took me out for like almost a year, maybe a longer. And I felt like I was starting all over again after that, because the heat was off of me, you know?
Margaret. How was it reuniting with Lonergan 11 years after You Can Count on Me?
It was great. I was supposed to play the Matthew Broderick part, and Kenny came to me and he said, I really need you to take this other part because I really need Matt to be in it because he's a movie star and you're not a movie star, and I need 13 million, and they'll only give me 8 million with that movie, with you in this part. So if they bring Matt in, they'll give me 13 million, and then I can shoot in the, I want to shoot in Carnegie Hall for the last scene, and the only way I could do that is if I get the extra money, so you have to play this other part. I was like, okay. But it's a great part, and it was actually a part that I was probably better for. I love the guy. He's one of my best friends, and I would do anything with him. That's a masterpiece, that film.
Just like heaven. How do you get in a bar fight with yourself?
Well, I'm constantly fighting with myself, so it's just taking it out of my head and into my body. I didn't know how to do that. I actually, there's a clown that I worked with a little bit to do that. I love that movie. That was I thought was gonna be my entree into more comedy, but it just never really happened after that. And I thought, oh, okay, well maybe I don't really fit in that genre.
Sympathy for Delicious.
Yeah.
When will we get another Mark Ruffalo directing credit?
Oh, buddy, I want to direct so badly. There's something I've been developing now for a few years, and I have it out to some producers to see if it's something that there's a place for in the world. But that would be in the vein of Dark Waters, but more about climate change.
Where the Wild Things Are. How did Spike Jonze pitch this to you?
We want to make a movie where the wild things are. Okay, I'm in.
Perfect.
You're only in one scene? Awesome, I'm in.
The Adam Project. How many times did you have to punch Ryan Reynolds to get that scene right?
Once.
It's fine. I'm fine.
So, oh, what you get?
We don't hit people in this family.
What was that?
That's what you get.
It was written that way, and we did a rehearsal, and I had a dream that that's what the punch should look like, and I just did what I did in my dream, and we did it, and they were all laughing, and Sean's like, well, let's do it again, but I think we have it. But that was one of those moments where it's just like the spontaneity and the, it was right there.
All the light we cannot see. Was there pressure taking on a character from such a beloved book?
Yeah, that was heady, and people love that book. It's such an important character to people too. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure.
I know this much is true. How do you prepare to act against yourself?
Get another great actor to act opposite you. Gabe Fazio. Derek said, there's this guy, he's really great, and I want a really great actor to do it. And he's coming up, and we met with him, and he was he was fantastic. He put on the weight. He took off the weight. He had the full characterization when he came in. If you have to do that, playing to a tennis ball is disastrous. You need an actor.
Rumor has it. Do you think Jeff should have taken Sarah back?
Totally. Jeff should have taken Sarah back.
We don't live here anymore.
Wow.
I'm noticing a pattern. Why do your fictional wives keep taking you back?
Because I'm charming. I'm good at an apology.
XXXY. Did this film change how you feel about dating and relationship?
No, because it was already, familiar to me as a young actor.
View from the Top. Some might say this is your first official rom-com.
Absolutely, View from the Top of the first rom-com.
Why did you take the role?
It was the right thing to do at the time, was to make a rom-com.
Safe Men. Almost all the actors in this film, soon after it came out, became big names. Did you see that coming?
Those were all the guys that I came up with in New York City in the theater scene. And I knew they were all really great talents, but how could I have ever known that, Sam Rockwell and Steve and Paul Giamatti, Josh, who would know that all those people would just kind of hit? It was just a special time in New York. And John Hamburg had a really good hand on it. And I think it was A.V. Kaufman who cast that.
Infinitely Polar Bear. How did you get involved in this
I
film?
love that movie so much. Maya Forbes, it's her life story. We had the same manager, and she said, I am interested in Mark, and I met with her once, and she told me the story about her dad, and I was like, I want to do this. That's my daughter's favorite movie I've ever done.
Now we're going to go into true rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm going to say the name of a movie, and if you could just say one or two words that come to you when I say it.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
Really tough addiction to have.
Blindness.
End of the world seems so close now.
The Last Castle.
Robert Redford and James Gandolfini took me under their wing and saved me.
Ride with the Devil.
Disastrous scene where I lied to Ang Lee about being able to ride a horse.
Wow, I wish we could talk more about that.
That's really bad.
Reservation Road.
Totally improvised last final scene, shot it once, packed up and went home.
What Doesn't Kill You.
Makes you stronger.
A Fish in the Bathtub.
Oh, God, one of my first movies. Joan Micklin Silver. That was like one of my first gigs.
Apartment 12.
Oh, really my first movie. And we made it on nothing. So much fun, so hard. Worth a watch.
My Life Without Me.
First thing I did after my brain tumor. Also saved my life.
Mirror Mirror 2 and Mirror Mirror 3.
I played two different characters. I die in one and then come back as another character in another. One was basically your average teen horror flick, and the other one was basically just a softcore porn.
There Goes My Baby.
Oh my God. I totally choked on that. Could barely say my line. We had to shoot that scene like 10 times, and the director was so bummed at me.
Wind Talkers.
Oh man, that was the movie that killed MGM the first time. We bankrupted MGM.
Committed.
Another one of my first things, I had to punch a wall and I broke my hand.
54.
54. Amazing hairstyles.
The last big thing.
Oh, the culture's going down on itself.
Blood money.
Oh my God. I did it for the money.
The dentist.
Dentist. Holy shit. I had a whole period of my life that were like, I got in the kind of bad horror scene in LA, thank God, because that's how I got my SAG card.
A gift from heaven.
That was another like small budget indie that came out of the LA theater scene.
The destiny of Marty Fine.
That was a movie that I wrote, and I wrote it on bar napkins when I was bartending, and it was based on a conversation that I had with a guy who told me that he'd witnessed a mob killing and was on the run for the rest of his life because of it.
Wow. We made it through it all. I didn't know if we were going to do that. We talked about every single one of your movies.
So it's amazing you got it, all that.